In this video, we will be discussing how to create extremely large, high-resolution panoramas like this one. If you look at the lower left corner of the screen, you will see the size of the image as I zoom in to 100%. This image is roughly 7 feet by 2 feet at a resolution of 240 pixels per inch. Welcome back. Today, we are talking about panoramas. Now, you can create a panorama simply by taking a single image and cropping it. But there is a major catch. Assuming your original image has an aspect ratio of 2 to 3, getting a panoramic aspect ratio of 1 to 3 means you have to crop away half of the image. This effectively cuts your resolution in half. If you are shooting with a 40 megapixel camera, cropping means you're essentially shooting with a 20 megapixel camera. A much better way to shoot panoramas is to stitch together numerous images using a program like Photoshop. Just a few years ago, the common practice was to stitch horizontal images together, sometimes stacking 2 or 3 rows to get the final result. But as digital camera sensors improved, photographers realized that they got much better results by combining vertical images. The explanation for this is actually very simple. You are using a round lens to project an image onto a rectangular sensor. In the horizontal landscape orientation, the light reaches all the way to the right and left edges of the sensor, but spills beyond the top and bottom edges. This makes lens aberrations noticeable along the left and right sides. When you rotate the camera to a vertical orientation, that aberration moves to the top and bottom. When you overlap and stitch these vertical images in a horizontal line, you get significantly less distortion. Plus, using vertical images usually eliminates the need to shoot more than one row. For the best results, you should stitch together a series of vertical images captured with a focal length of 70 millimeters or more. I normally use a focal length of 125 millimeters. Some landscape photographers use focal lengths ranging from 150 millimeters to 250 millimeters. With this approach, you end up with an enormous, extremely high-resolution file. These images can easily be blown up to 6 feet wide without losing any detail. When shooting a series of images for stitching, consistent exposure is absolutely critical. If your exposure shifts, you will see clear vertical lines running through your final image. Here is the easiest way to prevent that. Take a single test shot at roughly the midpoint of your panorama using aperture priority mode. Review the image to ensure it is in focus and properly exposed. Note the shutter speed the camera selected and switch your camera over to manual mode. Set your shutter speed to that exact value you just recorded. Now, when you take your series of shots, all the images will blend seamlessly. Let's talk about the setup in the field. When you shoot a series of images on a tripod, the images naturally form a slight arc around the center of the tripod. For the absolute best results, your images should actually pivot around the point in the lens where the light rays merge and cross over. This is called the nodal point, and its location changes depending on the lens and focal length you are using. To capture images precisely around this point, you want to use a pano gimbal. You don't absolutely need one to create panoramas, but I have found it to be the best way to shoot them. Let me share a quick trick to make setting up your pano gimbal much easier on your back. I added Velcro straps to my camera pack to hold my tripod and a collapsible stool. When I arrive at my location, I immediately remove the stool and tripod. I set up the stool and tripod first, and then place my heavy pack right on the stool. This saves me from constantly bending over to grab my camera and gear. I also use a quick release clamp and a ball head on my tripod to speed up the whole process. I use a compact pano gimbal made by Really Right Stuff, which costs around $435. It's not the only option out there, but understanding how this one works makes it easy to set up any gimbal. Here is my process. Level the gimbal arm. First, I attach the gimbal arm using the built-in bubble level. I use a piece of painter's tape on the arm to help remind me of the setup. attach the vertical arm. This attaches to the gimbal arm at a point determined by the nodal point of the lens and focal length. Because I typically use the same camera, lens, and a 125mm focal length, I just use blue tape to mark that exact single location. Set the nodal slide. This third component is set based on your chosen focal length. Mount the camera. Finally, attach your camera in the vertical orientation. Finding the exact nodal point for your specific camera and lens takes a little bit of testing. I'm going to leave links in the description below to 2 excellent YouTube videos. The first is a comprehensive 20-minute tutorial by landscape photographer Lester Picker that perfectly explains how to find your nodal point. The second is a very short, helpful video by Really Right Stuff demonstrating the gimbal setup. Check those out, get your gear dialed in, and start shooting some incredible high-resolution landscapes. Thanks for watching. To dive deeper into landscape photography, check out my book, Mastering Landscape Photography. There is a link in the description if you have an interest. There are also links to the gear I use. As always, let's keep it simple.